Holy smokes. This is a two-hander. This is a two-hander here. Holy. It has been an interesting week at the car wash, to say the least. I've had break-in attempts, some vandalism, they just completely destroyed the latching mechanism, the locking hole for the lock to go into. Some guy keeps showing up and stealing my foam brush hoses and the brush itself. So I've had a lot of extra expenses this last week fixing all these little items that are due to vandalism and theft. But we're gonna collect the cash for the week and see if it can make up for all of that. So one of the things that's bad about self-serve car washes is they are just that, self-serve car washes. So they stay open 24 hours a day, which means at all hours of the night, you're gonna have people coming through here, and you're most likely going to have vagrants coming in the middle of the night trying to mess with stuff. So you're always having to deal with people trying to break in, people stealing things. But in reality, these things are much harder. Wow, look at that. This is usually how I tell if it's going to be a good week. This is the very last bay that doesn't get used very much. But the problem is these things aren't very easy to break into, but people think that they are. And so what ends up happening is they just cause more money in damages than they do in theft. So they come up here, they break some locks, and don't ever get anything. And then these locks, depending on what lock you get, could cost, 30, 40 bucks a piece. For a good lock, you're gonna be spending some money. So not only that, but if they break one of these locks, which they did this last week, that means that I potentially have to get it rekeyed, or not rekeyed, I potentially have to get a new lock that has a different key from all the other ones. These locks that I have were already here, and I don't know the key code for these locks. So in other words, you can buy a new lock with the same key to it, but I don't know what it is. So I potentially got to replace 8 of these in order to get the same key, which at 30 bucks a pop, one person coming up here and breaking one lock could cost me, $400 potentially, which is absolutely insane. So this is going to be for 1 week at the car wash. And this is looking pretty good already. Yeah, this is looking pretty good. And then I've got this other guy that's coming up here and stealing my hoses and my brushes. And so when he does that, he takes the brush head, which those are 50 bucks a piece at least. The handle, these are 20 bucks a piece. And the hose, another 20 bucks. My swivel here, this whole build here, this whole setup, he takes them and just runs off with them But luckily, this last time, I caught the sucker's license plate. So I'm not holding out any hope that the police department will do anything. But I did certainly file a police report. And I'm hoping that they track the guy down, at least issue him a ticket or whatever they do for petty vandalism and theft. And that way he thinks twice about doing it next time. Because I've had to do this multiple times this last week, and it's really getting annoying and expensive. You know, these are expenses that you just shouldn't have. That's the most annoying part about it. It's like, yeah, I can deal with all the expenses that are normal for a car wash. Well, I guess that is normal, to be honest with you. It is sort of normal. Depending on what area you're in, you know, you're gonna have crap like that happen all the time. And I'm not in the worst area, but I'm not in the best area, so I get a little bit of both. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, this is looking good. Starting to pile up in there. I always start at the last bay because sometimes it can get pretty heavy. And I wanted to start light, and that way I get closer to the door, make it easier to carry. But I hope you guys enjoy these videos and me showing you sort of what it's like actually owning a self-serve car wash and the potential for the profits that you can actually make. You know, despite all the vandalism and theft I'm talking about, for the most part, you know, you're still going to come out ahead. You know, depending on where your wash is located. If it's on a busy street and you've got good business anyways, it's not like you're going to be living and dying depending on if someone vandalizes your place or not. Holy smokes. This is a two-hander. This is a two-hander here. Holy. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, baby. Let's see what this did. Oh yeah. That's a good one. So, pretty much collecting the cash and the coin for a week. We'll see what it does. Hopefully, it was a decent week because it was really slow last month. And I have another video. You can see what I did for the previous month, which is still really good. But in comparison to other months, it was just really slow. We've had a lot of rain. There was a lot of heat last month. And so it felt pretty dead. But I think it was consistent overall. And I'm kind of looking forward to what this month is going to do, considering the temperatures are going to slow down. But it's been unusually wet. It's just been extremely wet for this time of year. I remember last year it just wasn't like that. It was much more hot in August than anything else. So I did have to empty these bays. 4 of my bays just don't have cash, and so they get a lot of tokens more than anything else. But I did have to empty these because I was running out of tokens over the weekend. So that's why some of these might look a little bit light compared to the others. I'm gonna grab this one while this lady's in here real quick. Give her a free token while I come in here and interrupt her wash with my video. put a token in there for you. Got 2 more to go. These are the locks that the fine young gentleman came and busted. That's why these are brand new locks. He came in and cut 2 of them. You cut this bar. Sometimes they cut this bar and the lock, but you cut the lock or the bar, and I mean, you need, you know, 5 or 6 drill bits that are going to cost you $40 in order to get into this. And I mean, look what you're potentially looking at getting. You know what I mean? It's like pretty much $10, depending on when these are emptied. You know, the other ones we emptied, yeah, of course. I let those ride a little bit longer than I normally do, just so I could get a good video, honestly, and get a week's worth of count. But normally, you're not getting a whole lot if you were able to get into any of these. You can see it here. He was trying to cut this, and that guy was just on a bike, so I don't have any way to prosecute him or anything like that. Last one. Yeah, look at that bad boy. So now I'm going to pull the money from the token dispenser, see how much cash I got. I'm going to count up all the quarters. I'm going to skip over the part where I separate the tokens and the quarters because it just takes too long for these videos. And then I'm going to take the cash back to my office and we'll count it up. Okay. Let's see what the token dispenser has in store for us. It's empty, I knew that. Holy smokes. Now that's what I call filled. And more. And more. Oh yeah. That's what I'm talking about. See what this one's got. This one normally doesn't get used as much, but considering that last one was down. Oh baby. This is for 1 week. So it is the 8th. This is 7 days worth. Holy cow. That's what's up. So this is definitely what I like to see here. Got all the cash from the bays as well. Which, one good thing about not accepting cash in the bays, I guess I'm not sure if it's good or bad, is basically all your cash and anything that's really valuable will be kind of, you know, in one location. But maybe it's better to have it spread out. But I only accept cash in 4 of my bays. That's just how my meter boxes are set up. I'm gonna get all this cash out of here before I try to dump it in the coin separator. coin counter. Oh man, buried. So this is all 1 week's worth. So I've got to take this home and count it, but we'll go ahead and count the quarters here and see what we got. Let me skip ahead to the quarter counting and get past the separating the tokens. So if you see me mention in my other videos, I'm running out of token. So I bought 2,500 tokens 3 months ago, and now I got all the tokens from the bays. I counted them up. This is all the tokens that are separated out, and I've got 423. So there is some in the vacuums, but I'm guessing that's probably 200. There's barely any in there. And there's barely any in there. So again, what happens is people will buy the tokens, say $10 worth, use $8 worth, and then they just never come back. Or they take 2 of them, stuff them in their console, and they get lost in their car. Obviously some of those do come back, but when they disappear, you actually make money on that. So I pay 52 cents for these, so every one of these that disappears, I make 48 cents on the dollar. So it's a very good practice if you're a car wash to get security tokens made for your wash specifically, and you can actually get logos on them. Mine have logos on them, so they can only be used at your wash. Don't just make it where you have, Chuck E. Cheese type tokens, because people will come in from other washes and use tokens from other washes, and basically they're getting a free wash because they're buying it somewhere else and they're bringing it to your wash and they're using it. So just food for thought if you're ever considering buying a car wash. It is actually beneficial to have tokens. Although it is kind of a pain in the butt, it is a way to generate a little bit of income. Let's get back to the coin counting. So I ended up with this whole thing filled with quarters, a tiny Café du Monde can, and all of this right here. So let's go ahead and count those up. Let's see what we got. Bucket. yet. $3,659 divided by 4, $914.75 in quarters. Okay, I'm gonna take this cash back to my office, count it up, and see how we did for the month.
So I'm back at my office. Let's count this up and see how much I got. This machine sucks. $2,608. So $2,608 plus what I have in my hand, which was the rejects, and that totals $44. So that plus the $2,608 is $2,652. So my cash is $2,652. The coin was $914.75, and my credit for the week was $1,462.30. And all those added up brings my weekly total to $5,029.05. Not too bad. Now, this count is only going to be for my self-serve bays. This doesn't include anything from the vacuums or the automatic. I typically don't collect those for a week or two simply because they don't normally have a whole bunch of revenue in them. So this is only for my self-serve bays for the last week. I don't have the expenses yet. Obviously, this is only for a week's worth of revenue. I don't have all my bills. So if you want to see what a normal month looks like as far as the expenses on a car wash, you can check out this video up here. This goes over my last month's revenue and expenses, so you'll see the typical expenses for a car wash. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.